Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we have a really interesting beer, and this one was recommended to me by Morten from Ølbutikken in Copenhagen in Denmark. Really damn good beer shop, very nice guy, go and check it out, the link is in the description below. Really good shop actually. So this one is a collaboration between two very highly regarded gypsy brewers. Ølbutikken from Denmark, who I'm really quite familiar with, never tried a bad beer from these guys, and there's also Nomada, who I reviewed my first beer from quite recently, and I've heard that they excel particularly in dark beers. But this beer is an Imperial Porter, it's called Battle Royale, and it's described as an Imperial Miso Porter. It's brewed with soy and also with oats, so this should be a really damn good beer. Very highly rated on Rate Beer as well, and as you'll know if you've watched my channel a little bit, my girlfriend is Japanese, so I absolutely love Japan, apart from whaling of course, that's not cool, but anything else about Japan is pretty awesome, particularly the food. So yeah, this should be a pretty damn good beer review. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the breweries. If you do want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery websites, the link to my other reviews that I've done from both of these breweries, and there's all the usual social media things down there, Facebook, Twitter and Untappd. Please support me on there. If you want to see more beer reviews, do subscribe to the channel, and to my Danish and Spanish viewers, please do let me know some other Danish and Spanish beers you would like me to have a look at, and I do apologise if any pronunciations in either part of the video are wrong. But anyway, to tell you about Ølbutikken first, it's been a while since I've done one of these Ølbutikken beers. So Ølbutikken was founded by Tobias Emil Jensen and Tori Gainter, who were actually students of Mikkel Bjergso, who is the big boss of Mikkeller, as many of you will know. But originally they brewed beer with him in their school kitchens back in 2005, and they continued to homebrew until 2010 when they officially founded Ølbutikken. And Ølbutikken, of course, in Danish literally translates to English as meaning two beers. So when Mikkel heard that his former students were still brewing, he insisted that they did a collaboration beer together, and this became the first commercial Ølbutikken beer, which was a double IPA. But despite their short existence so far, although they are been going on for quite a little bit these days, they've gained much acclaim and they distribute their beers to about 40 or 50 different countries. Very, very good stuff, like I say. But as is the case with Mikkeller, they're a gypsy brewery, so they don't own their own equipment and they use spare capacity at other large breweries. And in Nomada in Copenhagen, they've got a collaborative beer bar with Mikkeller, which is called Mikkeller and Friends. They also have another one of these in Reykjavik, and the bar, both of these bars have exclusive bottle shops as far as I remember. Maybe not the one in Reykjavik because there's Vinbuden up there, but both of them have an extensive selection of different tap beers. So if you get the chance to go to any of the Mikkeller and Friends bars, I think there might be one in California too, they are definitely worth checking out. Some of the best beer bars in the world. But to Nómada Brewing Company now, who are from Spain, these guys, as I said, are a Spanish gypsy brewery. They were founded in 2011 by Javier Aldea, who's the brewmaster, Sammy Claret and also Ramon Sorribes, who actually left the project in 2014. But Ramon had owned a beer shop called Cervezalandia, and Javier had been a regular customer there. And one day, Sammy actually turned up in Javier's bar with homemade beer, and soon the three men decided to collaborate together. But again, like most gypsy brewers, these guys brew all of their beers at host breweries, and as a result they've got many collaboration beers, and they say that this also allows them to be creative in their approach and to constantly brew new beers. And Javier says that he likes to brew unfiltered beers, and he enjoys drinking a mix of German and Belgian beers, although he does have a great affection for Czech beers as well. And as I said, this brewery are supposed to excel particularly in dark beer, so this will be quite an interesting review for me. My first Nomada dark beer, I think the last one was more of a sort of Belgian ale. That was only about 10 videos or so ago. But the brewery has been rated as the best brewery on the Iberian Peninsula by Rate Beer, and quite consistently in fact, and they apparently aim to produce at least 3,000 hectolitres of beer per year, so a fairly big output. So you've got a big selection from both of these breweries. As I said, the brewery websites are in the video description below, so do go and check them out. You'll get more idea about the bars that these beers are associated with, and you should be able to find them. Nomada are getting bigger and bigger, and Ølbutikken, of course, are quite widely available these days. So anyway, that's your little bit about the two breweries here. This one I'm very much looking forward to. Those of you who don't know, Battle Royale is quite a famous Japanese film where basically bad school kids are given a bag, and they've each got a weapon that they have to kill each other with, essentially, and it's a sort of fight to the death, if you like, free for all sort of thing. Very, very good film actually, but it's quite kind of, it's pretty dark actually, and you can see this one has some of the weapons that the kids are given in the film. But on the side there you can see the Ølbutikken symbol, which has changed a little bit for over the years as they've had that, and there's the Nomada symbol down in the bottom corner there too. Very, very attractive looking beer actually. Plain bottle cap as you always get. But I think Nomada have that as well, but Toil are always a plain bottle cap. And just to tell you the specs of this beer, it's an 11% Imperial Porter. It's a limited edition one, so brewed only once. If you do see it, pick it up. It's brewed at Cerveza Cuenchas in Sabadell in Spain, and it's brewed with soy and oats. And as I said, 11% beer. And the artwork on this one is by Casper Ludett, who, if I'm not mistaken, quite regularly does artwork for Toil. So this should be a pretty damn good beer. So without further ado, let's get it open and we'll get on with the tasting here. So, as you can see, nice smoky opening on that one, and let's just get this out. This, you can see just from pouring this is a ridiculously syrupy beer. Try and pour it a bit more aggressively and get a little bit of a head on it. But this is one of the most syrupy and thick beers I've ever seen, so just beware of that if you're pouring this one for yourself. But as you can see, this beer, it is poured a ridiculously dark ebony rosewood colour. Probably ebony is a better way to describe this. If I bring the light over and shine it through, there's only the tiniest hint of a ruby edge to this beer, and there's a finger of a frothy beige tan head on there. It's actually quite a dark, almost leathery colour, this. And it actually smells quite meaty, this beer. That's quite an interesting one. That's without even paying too much attention to it. If I put my fingers behind the beer, of course, you're not going to see anything through there. It's not transparent in the slightest. There's one or two little bits of sediment at the bottom there, just very small brown flakes. A couple of big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, but a couple of little ones visible going up towards the bottom of the head. And as I said, this beer is hugely, hugely syrupy. It looks absolutely beautiful. So let's have a little look at the aroma for this one. Beautiful, beautiful beer. You can really smell the soy sauce in this comes out, and it's actually a very, in my experience, it's a very dark soy sauce, this. There's a nice big toasted malt to this beer. And if you sugar the beer up a bit, you can get that. It's a sort of very dark, quite bready malt base that comes out of this one. There's some sweeter chocolate in there, maybe a little bit of licorice and just a little bit of coffee, but that kind of mixes with the dark roasted malt. And when you let the beer settle a bit, it becomes sweeter, and that's when the soy sauce comes out and you get a little bit of a sort of meaty character to it coming out too. And you can pick up some of the oats, and some of the bready character is always there. The breadiness seems to underpin the aroma of this beer. Yeah, it's supposed to be awesome. Oh, it smells really good. It's actually not the most pungent aroma I've come across. This is more of a subtle aroma, this beer. But it smells really, really nice. All the things mix together really well. As I said, when you sugar it up a little bit more, you get the sweeter elements. You get a bit of chocolate, a bit of caramel in there. Some licorice actually coming out too. And there's a big bready underpinning of this beer. When you let it settle, that's when the more soy sauce, the kind of soybeans in this, come out a little bit more, and some of the oaty bready character. This is really nice beer, but it's not the most pungent aroma I've smelt from Toil. But we'll judge it on the taste. The smell isn't so important, but it is always good to have a look at that, and you just get an idea of what's going on in the taste of this beer when you try it. So this should be a pretty damn awesome beer. So this is the Battle Royale, named after the film, a collaboration beer between Toil from Copenhagen in Denmark and Nomada, who are a Spanish gypsy brewery. This should be an awesome beer. Skål, kampai as they would say in Japan. Cheers. Now, that is absolutely beautiful. There's so much going on in the flavour of this beer. It's very, very smooth as well, and there's a lot of alcohol warmth coming out of it. That's just first impressions. As I always say, sugar the beer around your mouth a little bit before you start to dissect the taste too much. Oh yeah, the soybean character in this, the sort of the soy flavour in this, is really quite beautiful actually. I mean, I said at the start, I absolutely adore Japanese food, particularly beef and pork. I can't deal with fish. Fish gives me horrible stomach cramps, but sort of when you get the Japanese pork and beef, anything like that tastes beautiful. And the kind of subtle flavours that this beer has just back it up. That soy character, it reminds me of a lot of these beautiful meat things that you get in Japan. Oh yeah, this is a beautiful beer. I'll say straight up, and I don't often do this on the channel, this is a beer that you have to try if you get the chance. This is a one-off brew. This is one of the best Imperial Porters, hands up, or hands down, that I've ever reviewed on the channel. You need to try this beer for yourself. For me, it really hits the spot. That Japanese meaty flavour, as you'll know if you've watched the channel, I love Rauch beers and these meaty flavours in the beer, and there is just a hint of that in this beer, but it goes really well with the typical porter elements, the sweet chocolate, the caramel, even just a little bit of licorice in this beer, but the licorice is more subtle. But this, hands down, best Imperial Porter that I've reviewed on the channel so far. This is great stuff. You need to try this beer. And that goes without saying, I've reviewed some pretty damn good Imperial Porters on this one. The one from Ugly Duck springs to mind recently, and there have been Brewdog ones previously that have been really good, but this one, for me, just with my palate, this is beautiful, this beer. You have to try this. Well, let's think about this flavour a bit more. So in the middle of the palate, you've got a kind of underlying layer of bready character, and as this builds up, it just that bready character just sits there. You get more of these nice oaty flavours in there, and the sort of soy sauce character, the kind of soybean flavours that are in there, they just build up, and you get this. It's not quite salty, it's more of a sweet soy sauce, so you do get a difference there. Soy sauce is almost used in Asian cooking just as a kind of liquid salt, but that soy sauce flavour in there, that fermented bean character, that just sits there in the middle of the tongue, and it just, as you move into the aftertaste, you get just this really sweet character. It's a very hard flavour to describe. You really need to try this beer for yourself, but those of you who are into Asian cooking, and particularly Japanese and probably Korean food as well, you guys will know exactly what I'm talking about. It's just like a horseshoe shape in the middle of your tongue. It just goes right behind there. It just builds, and it becomes quite sharp actually, but not overpowering, but it's a beautiful little supplement to the flavour there. But there's a lot of sweet chocolate in this beer, a little bit of licorice, and that kind of mixes in with that soy flavour in there. It actually goes really, really quite well. There's some nice toasted malts, as I said. You can get a little bit of that as you move. If you go to the back of the tongue in the middle and then just move out to the side of it, there is a toasted malt. It doesn't come across anywhere near as sort of black and as sort of smoked as it did in the aroma. That's one of the interesting things about this beer. There is just a little bit of a coffee flavour, but again, the soy sauce. This beer isn't a very smoky and a very dry Imperial Porter. It's actually really quite sweet, I have to say. But that, pardon me, that suits it really well. Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, you go out to the edge of the tongue, you're getting some earthy hop character, and it is very, very smooth. At the back corners of the palate, there's a very small hint of dryness in there, and that just sits there in the very, very back corners of the palate. As you come further forward, very, very smooth, very, very smooth. When you get to the front corners, there's just a little touch of dryness again, which must just be the way my taste buds are made up. But if you go around the front of the tongue, again, it's a really nice, smooth, earthy character, and there's a hint of kind of red fruity ester in there, and it's quite sharp, and it goes quite well actually with that kind of fermented soybean soy sauce flavour that gives you that horseshoe shape in the middle of your tongue there. You'll just feel an oily bubble behind the front curve of your tongue, and there are some red fruity esters in there. I'm trying to think exactly what they are. They're a little bit sharp, and it mixes quite well with the soybean flavours. Yeah, definitely a red fruity character in there. There's some candied fruit. There might be a little bit of a kind of figgy flavour. It's not too sharp actually. It's more, when you think a bit more about the flavour, it's more, for me, it's more the soybean flavours that are coming out of this. And you, as I said, as you move into the aftertaste, you feel those building, and that soy flavour becomes quite sweet in the aftertaste. That oaty character I was talking about with the bready base that the beer has, that just sits there. There is a bit of sweetness from the chocolate and the caramel. The caramel isn't too toasted, and there's some earthy hoppy character just lingering in this beer. But you know, I can see why Morton raved about this beer when I was in his shop. This is really, really nice, and it's very unusual as well. It's a very quirky beer. And the thing is, this isn't the most complex Imperial Porter that you're going to come across. Far from it, actually. It's got a few straight up flavours: chocolate, caramel, the soybeans, bit of oats, earthy hop character in there, and some red fruits. You know, there's 6 elements to this beer. There's ones that have a hell of a lot more going on in it. But the point is, this beer does what it wants to do, and it does it beautifully. And you know, I mean, some of these complex beers are great. Don't get me wrong, but this one for me does it a bit more simply, and it works. That's the whole point. The beer is to taste good, and this is an absolutely beautiful beer. You have to try this. I've repeated this a few times. You have to try this beer. So good. But yeah, got a lot of alcohol warmth in this one, I should say that. But in terms of the mouthfeel, no doubt about this. This is a full-bodied beer, smooth carbonation in there. It just there's a little tiny prickle to it, but nothing really worth writing home about. There's a big oily mouthfeel. This is one of the most kind of syrupy beers that I've come across, actually. Big sweet malt base, just a tiny bit of dryness in the back corners of the palate from the earthy hops that I was talking about. But overall, this is it's quite a sweet beer, but it's sweet in a very different way from some of the porters you're going to come across. The soy sauce gives you that interesting character to it, and as the aftertaste progresses a little bit, you do get a bit more of a dry character in the very front of the tongue. But again, this is a really, really nice beer. I have to admit, as I said, I've said it a couple of times, if you find this beer, you have to try it. A one-off brew, recommended by Morton at Ølbutikken in Copenhagen, who really knows his stuff, and I would have to back him on this. This is a beautiful beer, and for somebody who loves Japan and Japanese food, it's a very, very good beer. If you enjoy Imperial Porters and you like Asian food, this is you know, it's like Nirvana for you. This is a damn good beer, so you have to check it out, and it's from 2 very good breweries. I can see why Nomada have a reputation for being a dark beer brewery, and if their other beers are like this, it's well deserved. And Toyo, like I say, you know, I'd be very surprised if you find a bad beer from those guys. So this is a damn good beer. You have to try this if you get a hold of it. One of the best Imperial Porters, if not the best, that I've reviewed for you on the channel. So yeah, I've really enjoyed this review, as you can probably tell by the big grin on my face. But I hope you've enjoyed it as well. As I say, go and try this beer from 2 very good breweries and a very quirky Imperial Porter. Really well done from 2 very good breweries, so you have to try this beer. So as always, if you have tried it yourself, do let me know in the comment section below your own thoughts on it. We'd be really interested to hear where you guys are drinking it as well. Do let me know everything about the beer, what you think about it. Always good to hear from you guys that are watching the videos. But I hope you've enjoyed this review. Many more Danish ones for you to come. Do please subscribe to the channel if you want to see those reviews. There'll be more Spanish ones hopefully in the near future too. Until the next review, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Go and like my social media things. But until then, until my next reviews, Slange just now, and hopefully I can do some more Spanish reviews, and I'm sure I will be back to Toyo and Nomada in the near future. Slange just now. Go and check out this beer, and go and check out Ølbutikken in Copenhagen in Denmark. Awesome beer shop. Slange.